In ham radio these days we frequently refer to something called a line isolator, which is quite an important part of the ham radio station. And I'll describe briefly why you need a line isolator, but more importantly I'm going to show you how you can very quickly check whether you need a line isolator and indeed whether your line isolator that you've created or used is working. It's a very simple method actually. I haven't seen it mentioned on YouTube before, so let's take a look. The reason we need a line isolator, or what is sometimes called a common mode choke, is because the way in which RF flows on our coax cable. Now we connect our coax cable to our transceiver and the other end to the antenna, and the energy from our transceiver flows up the inside of the coax cable. RF energy always flows on the surface of a conductor, so it quite happily flows up the inner conductor of the coax cable. It also flows up the inner surface of the sheathing on our coax cable and delivers power to each leg of the dipole. But the problem arises is that some of that energy, because we don't have a perfect match, is reflected down the coax cable, and some of that energy flows on the outside of the coax cable. Why is that a problem? Well, it can cause all sorts of problems. The most obvious problem is that very often you get an incorrect VSWR reading, like a meter here. You don't get a bent needle, but you do get an incorrect reading. It also upsets the auto ATU in your transceiver. It may struggle to match. And also that energy will radiate. It'll radiate energy around the house because your coax cable is probably travelling in the house. And also, quite importantly, energy can be picked up on the outside of the sheathing in the form of interference. Local electrical interference will be picked up on the outer sheathing of the coax, and that too will be fed to your transceiver. So we get problems in matching and we get problems with noise. We need a line isolator or a common mode choke. Now you can easily make yourself a line isolator or common mode choke. I've got here a ferrite core with a number of turns around the core, and I actually purchased this lead because one end you see there is a socket, the other end's a plug. Putting a socket on a coax cable is not the easiest thing, so I purchased a pre-made one of about, I don't know, it's probably half a metre long, a bit longer perhaps, and just wound it around the core. The core is an F240-43 mix ferrite core. If you get the large core, the 240 size core, it makes it easier to wrap the coax round, and the connectors actually pass easily through the centre of the coax, and a couple of tie wraps just fastens it in place. Now here's a very interesting fact which is not generally known. One of the best line isolators is actually the human body. If you touch the outer side of the coax cable near where it enters the transceiver, some, not all, but some of that RF energy flowing back down the outer sheath of the coax is absorbed by the human body, and therefore we expect to see a change as we touch the outer sheathing of the coax. But it's interesting because if the human body can act as a line isolator, albeit a temporary line isolator, we can very easily do some checks to see, first of all, whether you need a line isolator, and secondly, whether your line isolator is working on the particular band of frequencies you're going to operate on. Before we get all the keyboard warriors coming on board and saying, yes, it's dangerous, Peter, you shouldn't do that. First of all, in all my years that I've been using this method, I've never even felt a tingle. Secondly, you do it at very, very low power levels. In fact, the way I do it, you do it with power levels of just milliwatts. So I haven't noticed any problems at all, and I'm sure you won't. This is the setup I'm going to use. This is my Zoom antenna analyzer, and I've set it up so that the centre frequency is the 40 megahertz band. To the left you'll see the 7 megahertz band, and the the next band of resonance would be 21 megahertz, which I think is off the screen. I'm actually using an end-fed half wave, so you'll see the scan. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch this on, and I'm going to scan the antenna without touching anything. So let's put this on now. I press this, it's all ready set up. I press this, you'll see it scan. You can see the first resonance on the left. There's a bit of a wiggly line in between, and then you've got the resonance on the 40 megahertz, and off the end there would be 21 megahertz. Now, right, bear that in mind. Now I'm going to touch this and I'm going to rescan it again. Look at this. Oops. You see the difference? It's much cleaner. There's a better VSWR on 20 meters than I think on 40 meters. The whole thing is cleaner. So quite clearly, by me holding this, I'm absorbing the reflected power. And bearing in mind, we're only having milliwatts going up to the antenna. So I'm absorbing just a small part of the common mode current that's coming back down the Coax cable. Now, just so you can have a better look at that, I'm going to put both those stills of both those scans on the screen together, and you can see for yourself the difference. Now, you may not have a antenna analyzer. You can also do it with a VSWR meter. Most VSWR meters are quite sensitive, so if you operate your power output at around about 4 or 5 watts, put a steady carrier on, generate or switch it to AM mode so you get a steady carrier, and just check the VSWR meter, then just touch the aerial as it enters the VSWR meter, just to see if that needle moves slightly, the VSWR needle moves slightly. And if it does, it means to say you need a common mode or a choker or a line isolator, because you've got RF coming back down the out of the coax, which of course will cause problems. We've already described it. Now remember that we're just looking for small changes. We're looking for indications that the coax, that outer sheath in the coax, is live, and if it is, then you need to install a line isolator. Now, I'll just dip into this video with an interesting observation that I have made, and that is that if you've got a longish garden and therefore the coax cable is running along the ground, the coax feeder cable is running along the ground back into the radio room, a lot of what would have been the common mode current coming down the coax will be dissipated because of the capacity between the coax and the ground. In other words, the ground is absorbing a significant amount of the return current, if in fact not all actually. So you may well find that you haven't got much at the far end of the coax cable when it goes into the transceiver. It doesn't stop, of course, noise being picked up by that coax cable on the ground, but it probably means to say that any return current, any common mode current, is largely dissipated before it gets to your radio. So I thought I'd just mention that because it's an interesting observation, and I haven't seen it mentioned on YouTube. Maybe it has been mentioned, but I haven't seen it before mentioned. So there we are, a very simple little trick to check whether you need a line isolator and whether it's working or not. Hope you found it interesting. As usual, thank you for watching this channel, thank you for support. Don't forget to press the subscribe button. In the meantime, you enjoy Ham Radio, you take care, and as usual, look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye for now.